2 trade talks in a day. We're going nuts here. And I love that I posted the video this morning. And of course, more things drop. 2 main ones. So they're the main 2. I'm not going to talk about everything, but just the ones that catch my eye. And obviously, this one is a juicy one. Sam Edmund came out today on SEN and he said that St Kilda has emerged as a potential landing spot for Dan Houston, Port Adelaide's Dan Houston, after conversations between player and club. So Saints and Dan Houston apparently have been talking. Ken Hinkley remains confident the defender stays at Port. Dan Houston, not really. I mean, it's a mixed bag. Some Sainers are quite excited by the prospect, and then some don't see how he fits in because he's half back. And we've got Naz and Sinks. Like, there's not really a lot of room there unless he can play midfield. And also, what the hell do we give up for someone like Dan Houston? Someone thinks Sam Edmonds talked about the battle compensation, if that would be good enough. I don't think if it's a pick 8 or 9 or whatever it might be, I don't think that's worth it, is it, for Dan Houston? And we're certainly not going to part ways with any one of Nasiah or Filippo, who are locals to South Australia, so that is certainly not something that I would take on board. But Port Adelaide are going to ask for 2 firsts. That's what they're going to do. They're going to ask for 7 and 8 if that's what we have. Maybe a player swap. I just don't see how that could possibly get done, but I mean, it's too early to tell whether we swap picks with another team and utilise that. I'm not too sure. But Dan Houston, would you be interested in Dan Houston from Port Adelaide? I mean, what's his stats? So he's 27 years old, 186 centimetres, career averages of 20 disposals, elite for kicks, we know that, elite for tackles, 5 marks, 6 handballs a game. A lot of meters gained, over 800 was his career high in 2023. So Dan Houston, Port Adelaide, an interesting one. I don't think either, like, if that happens, great, but if it doesn't, also not a big deal. Like I said, I think we've got a lot of players in that area of the ground that are probably better than him. Sinks and Naz, I'd probably say as good as him. I don't know if that's me being one-eyed, but I rate them very highly. And then the other one is from John, I think, Donahue, Trade Watch. Jack Macrae looks on the move post-finals. My understanding is the Saints are very keen and looking at ways to get him to Moorabbin. Contracted until 2027, so potentially stays, but a hard midfield to crack at the Dogs. One to watch. St Kilda not messing around. He turns 31 next year, but we all know Jack Macrae, just a ball pig. He just wins the ball. Career high 47 disposals in 2018, averages 28. He's elite for disposals, elite for kicks. This is across his career, by the way. Elite for handballs, elite for marks, and elite for tackles. So, he actually played 18 games this season. So he got a fair chunk of it, but he has gone back to the VFL and is absolutely dominating there. So, yeah, I mean, they wouldn't ask for much. I mean, I know he's got a couple of years on his contract, but also he can't really get into this team. Like, I don't think that they could really demand much for Jack Macrae. Also, he's on a lot of money, like $800,000 or something like that. He's turning 31. He's probably not part of that midfield group moving forward, at least by the looks. And that to me just says we have the bargaining power here. So if we wanted to go in and offer something that was a second or third rounder and take on that salary, if we're willing to, maybe for a couple of years, you lose Seb Ross, potentially you lose Brad Crouch. Need some just a genuine midfielder in there to support Steele while the young kids develop. Jack Macrae could be the one. And, we pulled our interest. I mentioned that this morning. Dylan Shields out the window. So is Jack Macrae that next option? Do we look at Shield and then think Macrae? And maybe that's where we've sort of deviated our attention to. I don't know. But that's the 2 big ones for me. I don't mind them. They're not outlandish. I think they're good players. They're not the absolute star-studded players that we're looking at, or at least what we've been rumoured to be looking at over the last couple of years. But Sam Edmund also said, we'd be silly not to look at Petrarca. But honestly, I just don't see it happen. I just don't see how it would possibly happen, and I just don't think, you get Petrarca, he turns 29 next year, off the back of a very serious injury. They're going to ask for 2 first-round picks. I just don't see it happening at all. Plus, he's $1 million, $1.5 million per season player. I just don't think we can fork out that sort of investment in one player like that. Although, Track is an absolute freak, and any club that gets him is going to be very happy, unless he somehow, backflips and decides to stay at Melbourne. But that remains to be seen. So that's the news. That's the quick little trade goss. I'll keep you posted on anything else that develops. Knowing me, I'll post this video and then something huge is going to happen. I'll have to do another video, so you might get 3 in a day. But that's the news at the moment. Dan Houston, potentially linked to St Kilda, talking to St Kilda, may be interested in coming to Moorabbin. And then the other one is Jack Macrae. Jack Macrae. So put in the comments, let me know how you feel about those 2 players being linked to the club. They don't get me out of my seat, you know what I mean? But if we did land 1 or 2 of them, I think that makes us a stronger team. But obviously for the right, sort of trade, the cost. So we'll see what happens there. That's Trade Talk, Saners. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more Trade Talk. And I'll see you very soon. But until then, take care. And as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.